When we think about flying, fuel is often the first thing that comes to mind. It is the lifeblood of any aircraft, powering its journey through the skies. However, aviation fuel is far more than just gas in the tank. It represents a meticulously planned resource, central to the safety and reliability of every flight. At the heart of this planning lies a critical concept known as Minimum Diversion Fuel, or MDF. Simply put, MDF is the absolute minimum amount of fuel an aircraft must carry to allow it to divert to a suitable alternate airport, if landing at the intended destination becomes impossible. This isn't just a vague estimation of extra fuel. Instead, it is a precisely calculated quantity, determined before each flight, forming a crucial safety net. The primary purpose of minimum diversion fuel is unequivocally to enhance flight safety. MDF provides the pilots with options. It ensures they have sufficient fuel to fly to another airport, execute an approach and land safely. Minimum diversion fuel is not a single monolithic block of fuel stowed away for a rainy day. Instead, it is a composite figure, meticulously built from several distinct fuel allowances. Each of these components serves a very specific purpose within the overall safety framework of fuel planning. One of the primary components is the trip fuel to alternate. This is precisely what it sounds like, the amount of fuel required to fly the aircraft from the planned destination airport to a designated alternate airport. Next, we have the final reserve fuel, often abbreviated as FRF. Final reserve fuel is the absolute minimum amount of fuel that regulations dictate must remain in the aircraft's tanks upon landing at the alternate airport, following a diversion. Its quantity is strictly defined by aviation authorities, commonly set to provide 30 minutes of flight time at a typical holding speed, at a specified altitude above the alternate airport. This fuel is sacrosanct. It is not intended for use under normal operational circumstances and acts as the ultimate safety net. The final reserve fuel is considered a last resort. Beyond the fuel needed to reach an alternate and the final reserve, minimum diversion fuel calculations also incorporate contingency fuel. This portion of the fuel load is designed to account for various unforeseen factors that can arise during the normal course of a flight, even before a diversion becomes necessary. Contingency fuel provides essential operational flexibility. Another small but vital component included in fuel planning, particularly relevant when considering a diversion, is the approach and landing fuel at the alternate airport. After successfully navigating to the airspace around the alternate airport, the aircraft still requires fuel to be maneuvered into the traffic pattern, execute a standard instrument approach procedure, and complete the landing. Together, these components, trip fuel to alternate, final reserve fuel, contingency fuel, and approach and landing fuel at the alternate collectively contribute to the overall minimum diversion fuel figure. Each element plays a distinct and critical role in the comprehensive safety net that fuel planning provides. Flight plans, no matter how carefully prepared, are ultimately just that, plans. The reality of aviation is that it operates within a highly dynamic and ever-changing environment. Minimum diversion fuel becomes critically important precisely when these well-laid plans must be altered due to unforeseen circumstances. One of the most common scenarios that necessitates reliance on MDF planning is the deterioration of weather conditions at the intended destination airport. Fog, heavy rain, snowstorms, thunderstorms, or even strong and gusty crosswinds can render a runway unusable or make an approach and landing unsafe. If weather conditions at the destination fall below the strictly defined operating minima for the aircraft or the crew, a diversion is mandatory. MDF ensures that the flight has the endurance to proceed to a pre-selected alternate airport where weather conditions are suitable for a safe landing. Another situation where MDF is crucial is the unexpected closure or unavailability of a runway at the destination. Beyond weather and runway issues, onboard emergencies can also necessitate a diversion, making minimum diversion fuel a critical asset. These emergencies can range from urgent medical situations involving a passenger or crew member to various technical malfunctions with the aircraft's systems. MDF provides the fuel to reach an airport that may be further away, but better equipped to handle the specific situation. The nature and severity of an onboard emergency significantly influence the diversion decision-making process. For instance, a critical medical emergency might prioritize reaching any airport with adequate medical facilities as quickly as possible. Conversely, A manageable technical issue might allow the crew to select an alternate airport that is not necessarily the closest, but is perhaps a maintenance base for the airline. The availability of sufficient diversion fuel, as ensured by MDF planning, grants the crew this crucial flexibility to choose the most appropriate diversion airport based on the circumstances. Air traffic control, or ATC, induced delays or rerouting can also significantly impact fuel consumption and potentially lead to a diversion. Let's consider a practical example of minimum diversion fuel. Imagine an Airbus A320 flying from London Heathrow to Paris, Charles de Gaulle. Despite its short duration, meticulous fuel planning is essential. This includes trip fuel, alternate fuel, and reserve fuel. The sum of these components determines the minimum fuel required. Now, imagine dense fog at Paris, requiring a diversion. It is crucial to understand that minimum diversion fuel is primarily a pre-flight planning figure. It dictates the minimum amount of fuel that must be loaded onto the aircraft before departure to ensure the capability to divert if necessary. Once airborne, pilots continuously monitor their actual fuel consumption against the planned figures. If, despite all the planning, the fuel state begins to dwindle to critical levels due to unforeseen extended delays or other issues, specific procedures and standardized communication protocols with air traffic control are triggered. One such declaration is minimum fuel. When a pilot advises ATC that the aircraft is in a minimum fuel state, it means that the flight has committed to landing at a specific airport, usually the intended destination or the planned alternate. Critically, it signifies that any further delay beyond what is already anticipated by ATC will result in the aircraft landing with less than its final reserve fuel. This is not yet an emergency, but it is an advisory call. It alerts ATC that the flight can no longer absorb additional delays and requires priority handling to prevent an escalation into a more serious fuel situation. The comprehensive fuel planning that includes minimum diversion fuel is not merely good airmanship, it is strictly governed by a robust framework of international and national regulations. Aviation authorities around the globe, such as the International Civil Aviation Organization, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, and the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, establish and enforce these standards. These regulations are legally binding for all commercial air operators. Their primary objective is to ensure a consistently high level of safety across all flight operations worldwide, making fuel planning a non-negotiable aspect of airline procedures. The International Civil Aviation Organization, a specialized agency of the United Nations, plays a pivotal role by setting global baseline standards and recommended practices. These are published in various annexes to the Chicago Convention on International Civil Aviation, with Annex 6, Operation of Aircraft, being particularly relevant to fuel policies. ICAO standards specify the minimum fuel requirements that must be carried, including definitions and calculations for trip fuel, contingency fuel, alternate fuel, and final reserve fuel. In conclusion, minimum diversion fuel stands as a fundamental and indispensable safety feature within the complex world of modern aviation. It is far more than just a line item in a flight plan or a regulatory checkbox to be ticked. MDF is a practical, life-saving tool that empowers pilots and flight dispatchers, providing them with the necessary resources and options to respond to unexpected operational challenges in a safe, orderly, and unhurried manner. This calculated fuel reserve ensures that even when the original plan is disrupted, there is always a clear path to a safe landing. The existence and proper calculation of minimum diversion fuel directly and significantly enhance passenger safety on every single flight. While most passengers will likely never hear the term MDF mentioned, its protective influence is silently at work, ensuring that unforeseen events like sudden weather changes or runway closures do not escalate into critical situations. It provides a crucial buffer against the inherent uncertainties of air travel, contributing substantially to the commercial aviation industry's remarkable and continuously improving safety record. This unseen guardian offers peace of mind to all who entrust their journeys to the skies. Beyond its primary safety role, MDF also contributes to overall operational flexibility and, in a broader sense, efficiency. Properly planned diversions, facilitated by adequate MDF, are handled smoothly and predictably, preventing situations from deteriorating into more serious incidents that could have far-reaching consequences for safety, airline reputation, and passenger confidence. Ultimately, minimum diversion fuel represents an invisible shield, a testament to the meticulous planning, rigorous risk management, and unwavering commitment to safety that are the hallmarks of the global aviation industry.